2024. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Brian, could you lead us from back there, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could remain standing for a moment of silence as we remember those who fight every day to keep our freedoms in place and protect us and our society. Thank you.
Amen.
So we're going to skip around just a little bit. I'd like to do some of our personnel to start with. So we are going to ask Winston Ralph to step to the podium, if you don't mind, Winston. So we had a vacancy on our senior advisory board, and Mr. Ralph has stepped up and is looking to fill that position. Could you, Winston, tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. First thing I want to mention is that I work for IBM for...
Winston, I'm sorry. If you could talk into the mic, talk to us, and they'll
okay,
get that. Thank you.
Yes, the first thing I want to mention is that I'm a retired IBM employee. Worked for IBM for 34 years, and I think it's 2 or 3 months. I've worked in several locations during my initial training as a systems engineer. I work in Kingston. From Kingston, I went to Poughkeepsie. From Poughkeepsie, I was told that there is a plant in Brooklyn, and there's a good potential for you, Winston. So I ended up in Brooklyn as a systems engineer. And at that time, my primary responsibility was mainframes, because we had what referred to as the PDU, the Power Distribution Unit. In Brooklyn, I'm going to move on. After, I think it was 4 years, as a good engineer, I became a manager. I had, I think it was 50 or 60 employees. And the responsibility there was to ensure that between Poughkeepsie and Brooklyn, I had enough work for about 400 people. Okay? It's kind of nuts and bolts, because the work that I needed was not more or less a system that occupies just 2 or 3 people. I want a manufacturing line where you can employ hundreds of people. So that was my primary goal. 2 years after was in Armonk, and I got promoted, right? So I became the senior manager for the plant, one of the senior managers for the plant.
That's great.
Okay. Then from there on, I started to look around. I spoke to some friends if it is time for me to get back to Poughkeepsie. At the time, they said, well, Winston, you kind of move up the ladder pretty fast, and there's nothing available right now. But one of the things you can do is go lateral switch. Okay. So at the point in time, I became an advisory engineer. Then from an advisory engineer, I became a senior engineer, in which I retired as a senior engineer. My offices at that particular time was in Fishkill and Poughkeepsie. So 2 days here, 3 days here, 2 days. And my responsibility was to ensure that the transfer of the power for the mainframe from Montpellier in France to Singapore went okay, or else Winston, you know. So that was my primary responsibility until retirement, to show the performance of these sites worldwide. And one of the things that I kind of pass on to my son, who's also an IBM employee, is that the operations meeting is on Monday. and be prepared to talk to anything that happens Sunday night.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Winston, what else have you done in the community? Because I know you've had some involvement
St.
here.
Patrick, I was chairman for the committee for the 100th anniversary
Nice.
at St. Patrick. And it was enticing because one of the first people who just kept asking me questions because she sat just at the chair in the front with me. I don't know if you know the person, Rosemary Pano.
She's crafty.
Yeah. I had a Gantt chart to show for the different committees, this person for dance, this person, we had a tour overseas to Rome, you know, et cetera, and Rose really just wanted to know the fine points, yeah?
I think that's a
asked you
debatable
a lot of
thing,
questions.
Rosemary.
The other thing, too, I am active in the church itself, too, because
Yes.
I'm a Eucharist minister in the church, right? And part of the team is Rosemary, again. Okay. And in addition to that, I was involved in New York City, the high schools, encouraging students towards engineering,
Nice.
right? You had Bell Labs, you have IBM and the other companies. So my job then as a first line manager, they choose a group of us from AT&T, from IBM to go and talk to students. Not necessarily system, because within system there are other things within the engineering groups, but get them involved in the sciences. So we spoke to them, we had demonstrations, you know.
You have to talk into the mic. The man behind the curtain is yelling.
Okay, yeah.
He's our systems manager.
Yeah. Yeah, so as a matter of fact, towards the end of that, New York City, to one of the high schools, I had a celebration, and you know, they were giving out certificates for the myself and the manager from AT&T, you know, said that was very good. In addition to that, I also served as an election inspector.
In both Yorktown and
Whatever that
Somers,
was like.
correct?
Yeah, I prefer Yorktown.
prefer-
I don't know.
So do we.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Winston. You know, you come highly recommended by your inquisitor, Rosemary Panio, and many members of the community. I know you for quite a few years, and I'm thrilled that you are looking to step up out of retirement and serve the town. So without further ado, I would like to have it resolved that Winston Ralph is appointed as a member of the Senior Advisory Committee.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Welcome.
Winston, welcome to your new sentence.
Pretty good. Yeah.
I find your career path very
Yeah,
impressive,
yes.
Winston. Very impressive.
Okay,
Thank you.
good, yeah. Thank you
Looking
very
forward to working with you.
much. Okay.
Thank you, Winston. All right, and I am going to finish while we're in personnel. Let's just finish that up. From the Human Resource Department, we're going to authorize Police Officer Michael Tillestrand to be promoted to Sergeant effective Wednesday, April 15th, 2024. And for those of you that don't know, Michael Tillestrand, he also serves in our reserves. Wonderful young man. He's had quite a few overseas assignments, and we're looking forward to him stepping up into the sergeant's position. We want to appoint Ashley Sakaza, police officer in the town of Yorktown, effective May 1st, 2024. And Ashley will be coming to us from the New York City Police Department with a 14-year career, getting closer to home and spend a little more time with her family, and we are absolutely thrilled about that, too. She is a big ball of personality and fun and just really will fit in great with our police department.
Absolutely.
Incredible background.
Yes, yes. We are going to appoint Michael Campion to permanent police officer in the town of Yorktown, effective April 1st, 2024. We will appoint Andrew A. Hetty to the position of lead maintenance mechanic, sanitation, within the Refuse and Recycling Department, effective April 15th, 2024. And we will approve the wastewater treatment plant operator grade 3 job class code 0587-01 be modified from group 14 to Group 15 effective April 8th, 2024. And be it further resolved that Kyle Glitz, who is permanent as wastewater treatment plant operator grade 3, be moved to Group 15 Step 4, which is a salary of $89,166.
Well earned, Kyle.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. I guess they're not ready yet on that. Thank you. So, we're going to move now back to the beginning. And we are going to have a proclamation for Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. Scarlett, are you ready to read this for me? Okay, Mom's going to help you. And Brian and Tom, could you also come to the podium, please? Where's the proclamation in here? And I think it ends.
Yes. Here, come here. I'll help you. Ready? Tell us when you're ready.
Whenever you want.
Okay. Okay. Proclamation for Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. Whereas the town of Yorktown is guided by the principles of inclusivity in its commitment to help improve the lives of all individuals in the diverse community we serve, and whereas autism impacts people regardless of race, ethnicity, and social economic backgrounds, and whereas while conditions characterized with autism may challenge communication, social skills, and behavior, and individuals within the autism spectrum disorder community present varying qualities, strengths, and challenges, and whereas in the month of April, we strive to promote autism awareness, inclusion, and acceptance, and the town of Yorktown is committed to providing equitable access to services, events, and activities that support self-determination for all autistic individuals. And whereas the town of Yorktown recognizes the importance of creating spaces that beyond acceptance provide opportunities for representation and celebration of all autism groups. And whereas the town of Yorktown seeks to create a socially conscious community that values and celebrates the unique individuals within the ASD community, which celebrates all kinds of minds. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Yorktown Town Board hereby proclaims the month of April to be designated as Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month and encourages the community to join in advocacy efforts.
Great
Thank you.
Well done.
So before you go away, you stay if you don't mind, Tom. Scarlett, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do for autism awareness? Okay, Mom wants to.
That was Mom. Okay.
So cute.
April is World Autism Month. As some of you know, Scarlett was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder in 2017 at 17 months old. But our journey started when she was just a newborn. Scarlett began receiving early intervention services starting at 4 months old. I truly believe it was those vital moments that brought us as far as we've come today. It has been a learning experience for the both of us. I chose to become a stay-at-home mom to ensure she received the best therapists and services possible. I researched constantly, and I became what many might call a helicopter mom, and I am more than happy about that, especially today. Scarlett has received physical therapy, ABA therapy, speech therapy, special instruction services, occupational therapy, as well as feeding therapy. There were and still are many days full of tears, but the amazing growth, dedication, strength, and courage that I see in my 8-year-old is something that I have never seen in anyone before. When she was first diagnosed, we were told she would never speak, be able to interact with others, and we'd be lucky if she could function at all. My spunky 3rd grader is doing outstanding, reading, speaking, socializing, cheerleading. She is strong-willed, determined, a perfectionist, and beyond a go-getter. We have been partnered with Autism Speaks since Scarlett was diagnosed. She has been in 3 PSAs and is in 4 articles on their website. This past Friday, she was invited to take part in the closing bell ceremony at NASDAQ Marketplace in Times Square. Wow. We have been fundraising for her team, Scarlett Inspired, for the past 7 years. Our upcoming fundraiser is on April 27th at Game Day Grill, right here in Yorktown. We ask local businesses to donate items for raffle, and all proceeds go towards Scarlett's team. Feel free to stop by between 12 and 4. Thank you to everyone who continues this journey with us, who cheers Scarlett on, who acknowledges her achievements, and understands the days where life is just rough. Thank you to Deputy Supervisor Lachterman, the Yorktown Town Board, and the Town of Yorktown for acknowledging Scarlett and other individuals with autism spectrum disorder.
Come back up. Come back up. I want to get a picture. Go ahead, Scarlett. I want to get a picture of you guys together. That's so cute. Here we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Brian, don't go away, Brian, because I asked Brian here for a specific reason. Sometimes people look at challenges as disabilities. To me, I look at Brian and his
We got a
dad
lot of
too.
time, Brian, don't worry.
But I look at Brian and I realize, he has overcome his disability to make me desire to be a man like him. Thank you. He is an amazing young man. He has a heart of gold, and he is one of the most polite, professional people I have met in my entire life. And I commend you, Brian.
You left one part out. He just had a birthday.
Turned a big 20 on the 19th. So.
Happy
20.
birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, buddy.
I know, you're crying.
Happy birthday, Bri.
Very heartfelt. I feel what this mom here has been saying, and the community of Yorktown is such a great one. We were here a year ago, and I remember looking up and Tom Diana asking, what can, he couldn't get out quite what he wanted to say, but I knew what he wanted to say. What can we do in this community to recognize families who have children on the spectrum, and how could we make life better? And my response was just engage. Everybody's different, but engage, and you're going to find that you're glad that you did, because you're going to get a lot more out of that conversation than you'd have expected. All of us as parents here in the room, have all traveled different journeys. I wouldn't change anything about Brian, and you hit a lot of nails on the head right there, Ed. I changed the world around him, but I would never change him. So I'm here, and perhaps I don't know if I'm speaking for everybody, but just to echo that, acceptance is king, and you're going to get a lot out of it, and Yorktown's all about that. And we thank you guys here at the town and Ed for your kind words, and thank you for what you guys do to support everybody in the community, including our community.
Thank you, Tom. And I will say, don't go away, because when you do come to Team Scarlett's event fundraiser on the 27th and stop by there, we then have something afterwards, and I see you're wearing your shirts advertising.
Always got to represent, Ed.
So why don't you tell us what's going on real quick, Tom?
Yes, we're probably going to be there beforehand. Don't tell Duffy, but we're going to be at Scarlett's event early after we set up, because Corinne had just been speaking to us about it. But Fam Jam is in its third year. We've given $30,000 out to community organizations this year. Our fearless leader wants to double that amount to give out. So it's really a great day. It's the 27th. We're 12 to 8, so come on down. We have a lot of rides and things for kids and live music, food trucks right up the street. And we're hoping to have the community come out and support us as they have in the past. It's just a one day, 12 to 8.
Rain or shine, correct?
Rain or shine, we're rocking and rolling. We have live music from 12 to 8 with a lot of things to do for the kids. So if you get a day like this, it's the place to be.
It's a place to be regardless. You guys do a great job with Fam Jam.
And this year, I do want to say one of our primary recipients is going to be Yorktown Teen Center, who apparently really needs that support.
Thank you.
But we're going to be given to all the usual groups that we've given to in the past 2 years, but the Teen Center is in need, and hope that those who've had their families come through the Teen Center could see their way to come and support us so that we can support them.
Just real quick before we get off that, I just want to elaborate. Fam Jam is going to be giving out scholarships, 6 $1,000 scholarships to Lakeland and Yorktown seniors. So if you go to the website, Fam Jam, you'll be able to click on the QR code and put the application in for the seniors.
Well, that's great.
Okay?
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We actually we're having a problem getting the certificate printed, but Before you leave, Katie, if not, if you need to leave, we'll have a certificate that we would love if you display at game day during the event.
Yeah, we'll get it for you.
Okay? Thank you so much. All right.
Ed, is there some place to just to donate? You know, if somebody can't make it to game day, is there some place a website to donate?
Is the QR code on your post on your flyer?
There isn't a QR code, but I do have a
website. Good.
yes, that I can
Let's
somewhere.
tell us about it.
So we do our fundraising through Autism Speaks, so it would be autismspeaks.org, and you would search for Team Scarlet with 2 T's inspired.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You excited about this upcoming fundraiser, Scarlett? Yeah.
You look really good on that poster. I saw it.
Yes, it's hanging up in the lobby. If anyone wants to snap a picture, it's on the board out there. And I will say I'm very jealous that you got to ring the bell. I've always wanted to do that. So great job.
Did you go down and see the bowl as well, or you didn't walk around?
They,
We just went to Times Square.
Yeah. All right. So let us move on to our next, which we have a discussion with the ALS Commission, or Advanced Life Support Commission. Actually, before we get started there.
Wait till you sit down, sir.
Oh,
Looks like Ed got security behind him. Great.
You want to take this? You want me to hold it?
bye.
Good evening. My name is Paul Turiano. I am the Advanced Life Support Commissioner for Mohegan. With behind me, I have also Tony Iannone, the other Advanced Life Support Commissioner for Mohegan, Barbara Santora, the Advanced Life Support Commissioner for Yorktown, and Jeff Siegel, the other Advanced Life Support Commissioner for Yorktown. We are the 4 commissioners that oversee the paramedic services in Yorktown. So I'm going to, for the room and people at home and people watching on Facebook, we're going to go over just an explanation of what we're requesting. We are the ALS commissioners, and we're trying to get additional funding for more services. That is our goal. We're not talking about Mohegan Volunteer Ambulance Corps or Yorktown Ambulance Corps, which is a whole separate topic, but we're trying to get services for the town of Yorktown. Next slide, please. So I want everybody to understand, if you could, that when you dial 911 in this town, you get one of 2 ambulances depending upon where you are. You either get a Mohegan ambulance or a Yorktown ambulance, both of which are predominantly volunteer-based, but we need members, separate story. These calls, on average, about 10 calls a day. That's 10 911 calls a day. So what happens is there's 3,000 calls a year. Between 8 and 10 calls happen a day. At every call that goes out, what happens is an ambulance will roll. Based upon the severity of the call, we always roll a paramedic. We do what we call basic life support. We do basic skills. We're able to push certain drugs, certain defibrillations, certain airways. But if we need additional support, it is an advanced life support. So we're basic life support. We trust the services for Empress to bring us advanced life support. In 1994, Empress Ambulance brought a paramedic service up to this area. It was one fly car, which is a glorified SUV, with 2 paramedics inside. And in 1994, they handled the call volume that existed currently. Today, the call volume back in 1994 was about 1,000 calls. We're currently at 3,000 calls, which is triple the number that we started with. The problem is going to be the following. We are doing 8 to 10 calls a day. The severity, the complexity, and the needs of these calls demand upon us to have advanced life support help us. We help you, they help us help you. So on the slide above, you see right there for the total call volume for 2023. So in 2023, again, we saw about 3,000 calls. The blue is Mohegan, the yellow is Yorktown. Just to let you know, separate plug, Mohegan does another 3,000 calls on top of that, but we're not going to get there. That's a separate discussion. But the top call volume, so if we were to say, as a business, which are the top call people that are using our services? Next slide, please. So we broke it down basically in the top 10, give or take, per each organization that requires our services. We go there regardless. We go there nights, days, snow, rain, holidays, birthdays. We always go. We never reject a call. It's a 911 call. We must go. But as you can see, a lot of these calls are the facilities, the nursing homes and so forth. And the reason I mention that is because we both get paid basic life support by your insurance dollars. We do not get a tax dollar. We do not get any money like the fire department or any money like the police department. The only money we get is when we bill an insurance company for using basic life support. So the call volume you can see is about 1,000. So basically 1/3 of our calls are these assisted living or nursing homes facilities, many of which take Medicaid. Now Medicaid pays about $60 for a call. So as a separate entity, we are in a losing financial budget, but what happens to the point I want you to understand is these 1,000 calls put a huge drain on the ALS service. So any one of the calls that goes on, we will take, the paramedic will respond with the second paramedic in the fly car, and that dedicated service is now taken for that call. If someone else needs another ambulance, we'll roll another ambulance, but you may not get a paramedic. In 1994, we had one paramedic 24 hours a day and a second paramedic 12 hours a day. And one fly car, one car, carpooled. They shared, they had to go together. What we're going to do is we're imploring you to give us another 12 hours and a second fly car to help cover the number of calls that you're going to see right now. Next slide, please. So if we take those top 10 call volume calls and we show them in Yorktown District, again, because Mohegan does both and Yorktown does 100%, these are 100% Yorktown calls, you'll see the total call volume in Yorktown is about 40% are these top 10 for us, and about 47% of the calls that Yorktown gets each day are to these locations, many of which need advanced life support. And if you don't know, advanced life support is a paramedic pushing certain drugs, doing advanced life support to keep somebody alive at a higher level. Every minute you do not do CPR is a 10% reduction the person will survive. After 10 minutes, I don't care who you have, the survivability rate drops dramatically. Next slide, please. So we bill, and let me explain to you, it's a little confusing here. You pay a tax. You pay a tax for ALS service, just like your Con Edison bill. You pay a tax, Con Edison bill gives you a service. If you use that service, in Mohegan, we bill you. If you use that service in Yorktown, they do not bill you. But either way, you pay a tax. And that tries to offset the monies necessary to keep the service going. This critical service needs to go. Next slide, please. So this is basically it, ladies and gentlemen. The four commissioners are sitting here imploring you that we currently pay $758,544 annually for an advanced life support system. Non-tax dollars. All these dollars are solely regards to the insurance money. We are at a deficit. We would like to extend the service, not to give us access to a country club, not to give us rights to the pool or golf. We need another paramedic, please, an extra 12 hours a day. At a minimum, we would love more than that, but an extra paramedic 12 hours a day and a second car so that paramedic then can go to the second call. For example, if I need a paramedic service, they come to my house, and again, a second call comes. Or if I have to go to the med center, the car or the paramedic may have to come with me. That means Yorktown is placed in jeopardy because we have to go what we call mutual aid. Mutual aid means you need to rely on a paramedic from somewhere else to come in. As BLS providers, we will do everything we can to keep you alive. That is our charter, that is our job. And that's what we do as a volunteer. But we need additional $390,000 to bring that second paramedic and that flag car to a level that could help us and help you. How was that? Did I do okay, Ed?
You did very well.
Very well.
Questions or?
How much of a deficit are you running at right now?
I don't want to talk about the deficit with regards to Mohegan Ambulance and Yorktown Ambulance is a huge deficit. That's a separate issue. With all due respect, sir. The issue for this is the tax. You have a tax line item, which all of you, it's a separate tax line item, which is not associated with anything else. We run a deficit. We need $380,000 just for the paramedic. Ambulances for us and for Yorktown, I'll be more than happy to talk about the numbers that we need. We are losing money each day, literally. It's less expensive to call 911 than it is Uber, basically, to get an ambulance.
So Empress gives you your medics, correct?
Empress gives us our medics,
And
correct?
doesn't Empress require you now to hire a minimum of 2 full-time? Like they're not doing shifts anymore?
No. You're talking EMTs, it's a separate story.
Okay, but
Yorktown has a
I'm just-
contract with Empress for paramedic services.
Correct.
This is totally separate from the ambulance course.
Step up a little
so
bit to the
I
mic.
guess what I'm asking you is the 12 hours would be a medic that you guys would be bringing in, or would it be someone that you'd be getting from?
Extending the one paramedic that is currently here to
An additional 12 hours.
additional 12 hours.
And I mean, knowing what you guys do, is that something that is
At a-
healthy and sound for a medic to do an extra additional 12 hours, or would it make sense to have a
They
second
would have
medic?
coverage. They would have coverage, whether it be a
just
24 hour.
saying.
Empress does their schedule.
They do their schedules, and I have the gentleman, the president
Right.
of Empress back there. But again, we're not trying to get additional headcount. We're trying to extend one of the positions that we currently have an additional 12 hours.
Correct. And what you're saying is in the line item, you want to be able to find that money to cover the 12 hours.
Correct.
What we're trying to do is
I hear
raise
what
the
you're saying.
system because we're running with the same setup we had in 1994 when the call volume was between the two of us, 1,000 calls a year. We're now up to 3,000 a year, and we're working with a deficit of manpower.
I'm aware.
And that's what we're asking the town board.
No, what you're asking the town board is to find the money to extend the
Correct.
12 hours for the medic to support the fact that we are operating at a 1994 mentality when it's 2024 and we
Correct.
are up 3,000 calls.
Correct.
I got you.
Perfect.
Right, plus
And,
the additional.
and an additional
the
call.
flag car.
Split up.
Yes.
That's the
Just
problem.
step to the mic
Yeah.
because the people watching from TV can't hear you.
Okay.
That's why we keep saying that.
Yeah, no,
I can hear you fine, but
No, the additional fly car is very important also because in addition to having the 2 paramedics, a lot of times they're going on a single call and there's 2 of them in the car. And another call.
No, I know they need a car. So
They need
on
another car.
Friday, our grant writer's coming because there is money for fly cars and ambulances and whatnot. However, right now what we're discussing is in that taxable line item, is there a way to move our tax dollars to find 12 additional hours for the medic? Because regardless if they're in the fly car or in the ambulance, you can't get one person across from Yorktown to get to the other side of Yorktown.
The problem is there's no movement of money. It's a separate line. It's a separate fund. So it has to be an ALS fund. Did you do the math on how much per household we'd be looking at?
Yeah, currently, it varies based upon your taxes.
Correct.
Right.
I
an
will
average.
pay $68 or $70. She may pay $40. It varies on the percentage. But one thing that Councilwoman Luciana made an excellent point. Does everyone understand the dynamics that Yorktown is 40 square miles? Yeah. 40 square miles. And it's not uncommon for us to be at one of those locations and suddenly up there, whether it's assisted living, which we will do, and a second call will drop at the other end. You physically have to teleport yourself from point 1 to point 2. So I need that second car is critical. It's a separate line item. It varies. It has not been raised, to the best of my knowledge, in the past 30 years, that line item. It's based on the percentage of your taxes that you currently pay.
So, Paul, what's the financial ask for the 12 hours and the car?
$390,882.
That includes the car.
That includes the car.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not very good at math, nor do I care to be, but the way I look at it is if we can make improvements to other infrastructures, the fact that we want our constituents to live here, having this vital service is important. So I do think this is something we're going to take back and make sure that we can see where we can create money in that line item. If you can't pull it from somewhere,
It would have
we
to be a
gotta
raise.
raise it.
We'd have
Yeah.
to raise the tax.
But,
And
I understand there's a soccer field being built somewhere. Maybe we can take the money from the soccer field and
unfortunately, we can't.
That's
it
a whole other thing.
It has to be taxed directly for the
I know
district.
we're
I know.
we're
But
imploring
what-
the board.
Right. What is
No,
what
but
is
no,
your
but Paul,
priority?
the funny part is, like, I would think the same way. But now that I sit back here, certain funds can't be, even if we find them, can't be applied to other essential places. And it's,
You can't use certain money for certain things if they're allocated. You know,
If it's raised
municipal
for
law is
another.
very. It can be very tricky and very complex.
So, Paul, my question is, I wanted to get here. I wanted to get here before we discuss budget upstairs, and we do have our audit going on the next couple of weeks. So our comptroller is going to be tied up with it, but we have to get ahead of the curve. We have to look down the road, and trust me, we're not kicking the can. We want to make sure that this is done. On Friday, we do have, as Luciana said, a grant writer
I have
coming.
a few of them already prepped for him. So
All right. So if one of you can join, I'll make sure we carve out a time for Luciana. I think there's something at 2:30 open right now, and perhaps we could have someone come in,
I can even call
sit
Matthew.
down with the grant writer, go over a few of these things, because we really need to think outside the box to make it happen right
Can
for
I?
the town.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know it's a taxable line, blase, blase, but do you guys have, like, Friends of ALS / Mohegan, Friends of ALS / Yorktown? I'm just curious, Ed. They're having their open houses. I encourage everyone to get out to their open houses. Listen, some of us know people with that can write a nice check. If you were to get a donation, can it go to that line item?
That's a Janelle question.
Okay, I'm just,
Fully understand. Again, the open houses, to be honest with you, great. We have
They're
open
for
houses
volunteership.
for the volunteers. The volunteers, we do need the volunteer services. Yorktown and Mohegan need money and members.
Right.
We have ambulances that are falling apart. They have ambulances. We need membership, uniforms, those are separate, but I need you to understand the ALS, Advanced Life Support, is a critical function that we really need to get out of the 1994 budget and up to the 2024.
And Paul, I think we do understand. I mean, you got even when you have two medics covering 40 square miles. I think it's a little more than 40 square miles, but if something happens, they're sitting in the same car.
Correct.
So it's not like they could be in two places at once.
They can't.
And so that's an issue.
Correct.
And it's inefficient. And I think we understand the magnitude of the coverage. Definitely understand the magnitude of the increase in calls and the magnitude that we have to get this, resolved. And I have spoken with the board. I've spoken with the deputy supervisor. He's extremely concerned about it. As we all are. And I think you need to have that meeting, and we need to get the controller.
Again, but
involved.
with all due respect, sir, the grants for an ambulance is one thing. I need an expense line item.
no, I meant the grant for a fly car, but like you're saying, the expense line needs to be there. I also want to thank you all for coming and speaking about this and presenting it this way.
Thank you.
Speaking from a home that does have a medic, the amount of lives that we lose because we can't get there is where my husband's at right now about, like, reporting because he's that upset. So I just want to tell you that for you to come here and say, look, we're doing the best we can, but it's going to get to a point where, like, none of us up here are taking it lightly.
with all due respect, ma'am, thank you, and I need you to understand also that the households, the number of people have increased, the businesses have increased, the road, the traffic. I will pay anybody $20 if they can get from on Route 6 or 202 less than 30 minutes on a Saturday afternoon, lights and sirens. But we implore you. I keep on saying that we've done that every year. We come here and we ask if you could do anything. We'd appreciate it. Anything else, gentlemen, ladies?
Well, the reason I asked you here today is because I know Tommy and I spoke about this, and it's very important to get it going. And unfortunately, with Tom's passing, I did not want to let this sit on a shelf.
Well, we thank you for the
understand
invitation,
it.
sir.
No problem, Paul. Thank you. And,
Thank you very much.
We appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thank
Paul,
you.
thank you for
Thanks,
everything.
guys.
Thank you very much.
You guys do a great job.
Thank you.
So this will definitely be something that especially during budget season. Yeah, we're going to have to take a hard look at it.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you got two people tied up in one car on one call is just
Yeah.
not making any
Also,
sense.
maybe we can give some safety courses on what happens when the lights are behind you and where to move your car. That's a little bit strange too. Not everyone knows how to move out of the way.
Okay.
I'm like, we should learn more of that.
So our next discussion, proposed local law to amend Chapter 216 of the Code of the Town of Yorktown entitled Peace and Good Order. Adam, why don't you lead us out on this?
Sure. So we took a look at the law and basically are proposing amendments to it that would add some very significant, objectively, verifiable definitions for what would in fact constitute a noise disturbance. I'm just pulling it up. Just give me a second. I mean, I can walk us through it, but basically, depending on where the sound is emanating from and the time of day and the day, there's a different threshold of decibels that would trigger a noise disturbance. Hold on. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Okay, right. So, for example, so between residential properties, a sound level that registers on a properly calibrated noise reader above 55 decibels between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. would constitute a noise disturbance, which would be prohibited under the new noise ordinance. The same scenario, so residence to residence, above 50 decibels from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So it's obviously lower at night than it is during the day, and there are different threshold levels. If the sound, so example, if you live in a residential, well, everyone does, right? But if your house abuts a commercial zone, there's more. The thresholds are higher at different times because you live in a commercial area, so it would be unreasonable to set it at 50, for example, during the day, 55 during the day. So that's it. It basically makes a couple of tweaks, but lays out objective criteria to constitute a noise disturbance so that, frankly, it can be enforceable.
Okay. So there are some specific times, some specific things that are exempted per se, but there was one thing, and I wanted to look into this a little bit. I had realized that the operation or use of any organ, bell, chimes, or other instrument apparatus devised by any church, synagogue, or school licensed or chartered by the state of New York does not occur between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. Do we know if any of our churches have that now? Because I think we should definitely look at that just to make sure.
Well, this is, I suspect not. I mean, this is the way the law reads now in the books.
Okay.
And it hasn't been an issue. But certainly, look, we can
All right.
refer it out and if there are concerns, we can always make tweaks.
Yep.
You know, it wouldn't be, I don't think, significant.
Okay.
My suggestion, which I emailed you, was to extend the time to 11 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. I think what it's saying here is 10.
Which part?
Just Friday and Saturday to extend the time for our businesses. So if there's music or if somebody's having a wedding or something like that, the wedding doesn't have to end at 10. Which is, I think, what it's saying here. I sent you an email on it.
Well, I mean, look, you can change it to 11. So you're saying what if a business? Well, it's not that the party has to end. It's that you can't have that level of noise after that time period. But yeah,
Right,
you
and
can
I'm
change it.
suggesting we make it 11.
Yeah,
Only on Fridays and Saturdays, on weekends.
So
From Friday evening through including Saturday morning, and then from Saturday evening including Sunday morning, right?
well, you're looking at construction equipment.
Yeah, I'm saying something like that would be on it.
No, the noise disturbances are defined in section
3.
on the second page.
No, but I'm saying something like that we could write on it.
Yeah, you could break it up however you want. So if you want to say, now we're talking about,
Yeah, I could pull it out.
Yeah, this is only an excerpt.
It's not the whole thing. Yeah, I see it. I noticed the second page was the moratorium. But anyway, I'm just.
I'm
saying
looking
it
at
could
the
be
actual
specific.
law. I have the whole thing in front of me, so I'm sorry. So,
The red line. Where's the red line?
you know,
I'm not getting you with my red line. This is the other one though. This is the ATV one.
So if you could pull it up.
Yeah.
so look, we can
Makes
tweak
sense going
this
to 11.
however folks want to. If you want to carve out, Fridays and Saturdays. I mean, you could just make it till 11.
That makes sense.
But right now there's a complete prohibition for any commercial properties reading over 70 decibels, right, at any time, and any day, which, it's kind of like the Richter scale. When you go from 50 to 51, it's not 1/50th increase.
I don't have a problem with the DBAs that you have here, the noise levels. I just, I think Fridays and Saturdays, it's the weekend, and I think extending it an hour isn't really a big deal. I think it's actually necessary.
Well, remember, this is what this measures is the sound level on the residence, not at the business.
Right, but
right?
we're talking about the hours.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is, I just want to make sure it's clear that it could be really loud at the business, but if
But they're not hearing it that
that's
loud.
correct.
Right.
The question is, how loud is it on the residence?
So we're still going to control that it's not as loud for the residents, but that it's still going. It's not off. The music isn't off at that time. I think that's what we're getting.
Well, and this would, I mean, that's fine.
so
This
are you
would
saying
not.
even though it says till 10 o'clock, as long as it holds that decibel where it's not as loud, it could still go to midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's right.
Okay, so then it doesn't actually.
I think
more of a
though
courtesy of noise.
I think though that to clarify and to make it a little later might be a good thought, just because from reading the law as a layman, someone might say, oh, by 10 o'clock there shouldn't be the sound, and rather than have
Yeah, that's kind of how I read it.
the police rather than have the police called to someplace at 10:02, 11 o'clock seems reasonable. This we're going to put this out for referral, so we could do the change before, or
We can wait to
redline it
hear.
as it comes in and get some input from the.
Yeah, I mean, there may be other tweaks. I'm sure that
Yeah.
we'll make. So I would just get it out, and then we can do
Sure.
that.
I read it that way too.
Okay, so I think Adam, I thank you for the work on it. I know we compared a lot of different noise ordinance laws. The big thing here was measurability, making sure it's something that we can figure out, hold accountable, having the times, and when we get this going, I think that we need to make sure that we get it out to all of our businesses that have music and also our landscaping businesses that are in the area. And just make sure that they have a copy and understand it, because we want to work on the education versus that. So, can we,
So it really doesn't read that, okay, yeah.
all right, so can I have a motion to refer this out to the appropriate
Motion.
departments? Okay.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Everyone waits for me.
All right, so off and running. Next, we have proposed local law to amend Chapter 275 of the Code of Town of Yorktown entitled Vehicles and Traffic. Adam?
Sure. Two local laws. One would create a no parking for commercial vehicles on the service road off of Route 6, right outside the golf course, town's golf course.
Commercial or overnight, correct?
Just commercial, period. No parking commercial.
Okay.
So overnight, 5 minutes, 10 minutes
During the day,
during the day, weekends, nights, whatever. Done.
yeah, it's good.
And the second one is it reduces speed limits. And these were discussed by the highway superintendent a few weeks back. But it reduces the speed limit on certain roads to 20 miles an hour from 25, and reduces the speed limit out here on Underhill from Overhill to,
30 from 40.
well, basically, yeah, it changes it from 40 to 30. So it used to be that it was 40 from the Taconic, I guess, to this
all the way.
to the yeah, and then now it's only going to be 40 from the Taconic to Overhill.
And then go to 30, drop to 30.
Yeah, it's the rest of it's
Coming
30.
into
The rest of it,
town.
everything else is 30. Only that piece will be 40.
And,
In case anybody doesn't know, that's to the crest of the hill.
correct.
When you start coming down the hill.
And that's it. That's what they do.
So
Got some
that-
other ones coming, but they're not
Yes.
ready yet.
Yep. So some of these, like the dropping of the speed to 20 over by Hitching Post in that area, that is actually at the request of the residents in that area to try to slow down the traffic. The Underhill Avenue, some of the people who are down on Cardinal Court have a lot of trouble getting in and out. The cars come flying down. So Mrs. Fang made us aware of that, and we want to make sure that we're having that safety net in place, and our traffic officers are also looking at ways to enforce and make sure, especially in the beginning, that we are out there and getting getting that education, as it would be, out and about. All right, so can we have a actually, we wouldn't really need to put this out for referral, because it would get referred to Highway, who wrote it, and Police, who wrote it as well, who were part of it. So this one we could probably move for public hearing. 4:30? April 30th, sounds like a,
April 30th it is.
well, can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, we should have enough time, right?
Now he takes my second.
That'll be fun.
All right, we have a decision on the proposed local law known as the Large-Scale Energy System Moratorium. The amended full version of the proposed local law is on the town website, but the biggest change in here was the allowance of the projects that have gone through everything and have put together all of their permits, and they're in building and construction to be able to complete out. And also anyone who wants to start a new project is doing it with the full understanding that the law is being looked at for changes, and they will be needing to comply with any changes within that law. Adam, did I miss anything on that?
No, that's it. Those are the changes that were requested. Those are the changes we made. Those are really the only concerns that were raised.
Very good. All right, so can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Resolutions. This one I'd like to read. I've been about the county on a few different law enforcement roundtables, And there's a theme that comes up not only with our police, but with our judges and district attorneys, our law enforcement officials throughout, which is as I put it at one of the meetings, our police get handcuffed so much that it's hard to put the handcuffs on the criminals. And we're endangering our police, we're endangering our citizens and our communities. I look at the case of the police officer that was shot by a 21-time criminal out on, I don't even know if he was on bail or an ROR, but, you know, we're losing our police officers to people who shouldn't be on the street. We're having problems within our communities for people that shouldn't be on the street. If there is no type of penalty for a crime, you could just keep doing it. So we'd like to talk a little bit about it. And Sergio, actually, why don't you share? We had someone arrested that would have been let go. They had a ghost gun. For those of you who don't know what a ghost gun is, it's a gun that is actually produced in a 3D printer. It has no way to trace it. There's no serial numbers. There's no ballistics on record. It is a ghost. And we had a great arrest by one of our new officers, and we got that gun off the street. But the person would have been let out on their own recognizances and flapping in the wind, if not why, Sergio.
So what he had with his ghost gun, again, this is somebody who's not licensed, didn't go through the permitting process, just printed something up in his house. You could get this stuff online. It's really terrible. But he had a 17-round magazine, which is illegal in New York State. In New York State, you can only have 10-round magazines maximum. And so the fact that he had a gun that actually could, cause a lot of damage to people, and the fact that it was unlicensed, he was unlicensed, and the fact that it had no serial number, the police could not hold him. The fact that he had a 17-round magazine and not a 10-round magazine, that was the reason why our court system was able to remand him and not let him out. Otherwise, the guy would have just got out, went back out, printed another gun, did whatever he had to do. Because he didn't go through any processes, didn't go through any legal things. And there were no legal ramifications for this kind of stuff. And it's just, tragic that we can't do anything if somebody's walking around with a firearm that's illegal. It's ridiculous. And I tell you, the permitting process in New York State is very stringent, very rigid. There's a lot of things you have to do. You have to go through training. There's a 18-hour course you have to take. There's so many things that a legal gun owner has to go through. And if a legal gun owner does something illegal with his legal firearm, they go to jail. And they ought to. But here's a guy who had a gun that was illegal, no license, no nothing. And we couldn't hold him. So if he had that ghost gun with a 10-round magazine, they would have driven him to the police station. They would have escorted him. He would have got an Uber from the cops to the police station. And then he would have just left. The cops would have still been in the police station filling out paperwork. And he would have been out the door to go do something else, possibly. I can't predict what this gentleman would have done. But, not an upstanding citizen in my book if he's walking around with something like this.
So what we would like to do is we would like to send a resolution, request for amendments to New York State's criminal justice reforms. Whereas in 2019, unwise reforms were enacted to New York's criminal justice status and statutes. And whereas the change in the law pertaining to discovery and bail are overly broad and vague and are having unintended consequences at the municipal level, all of which have been evident over the course of the past 4 years. And whereas since cashless bail went into effect, over 40% of the individuals released on non-monetary bail for violent felonies have been rearrested while their charges are pending. And whereas a shortened time period in which prosecutors must disclose evidence to defendants and the broad expansion of the matters to which such discovery mandates apply has had significant cost implications for municipalities with police departments and local justice courts. And whereas law-abiding residents of the town of Yorktown, Westchester County, and the state of New York have been made demonstrably less safe in their own communities due to these bail reform measures, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Yorktown supports the following set of amendments, which are consistent with the intent of the criminal justice reforms, but which will also allow for more effective and affordable implementation. 1. Ensure that cities, towns, and villages are provided with additional financial and operational support to offset the cost of these mandated measures. 2. Allow an increased timeline for prosecutors to disclose evidence to the defense for criminal charges. 3. Exclude from the accelerated discovery requirement any charge not involving a misdemeanor or felony. 4. Allow prosecutors to withhold sensitive information such as victim contact information without having to obtain a court order. 5. Judges must be given the discretion to order pretrial detention by amendment of the bail reform measure which have put citizens of the state of New York at risk. 6. Impose a dangerous standard which would eliminate the defendant's return to court as the sole factor for a judge to consider when determining pretrial release by requiring the court to make an individualized determination as to whether the principal poses a risk or threat of physical danger to the safety of any person or the community, and an individualized determination as to whether they pose a risk of flight to avoid prosecution. And 7, add all misdemeanor and felony offenses involving the possession, display, or discharge of a firearm, rifle, shotgun, machine gun, or disguised gun to the list of qualifying offenses that authorize a judge to fix bail or remand a defendant into custody. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I know that a lot of stuff can be done with the budget in Albany, and we hope that our legislators, senators, and our governor take this very seriously. There are some big problems that, if you look down the road, we see them happening. And we were here 4 years ago on this table, and Tom Diane and I tried to pass something similar to go to Albany, and it was voted down. And I think that it's important that it's really important to have a criminal justice system that works, but it is so important that our taxpayers are treated with the same deference as the criminals, and that they are in that equation. And I think right now they're left out of the equation to a degree.
Well, I mean, it has happened here, and I'll tell the story about Yorktown Pharmacy again. Yorktown Pharmacy was robbed by 4 people. The lady behind the counter was scared to death. She picks up the phone that's hanging on the wall, calls 911, puts the receiver on the top of the phone. The cops are listening to this whole thing transpire. They come to the scene. These 4 guys steal narcotics. They jump in their car, and they lead the police on a high-speed chase through our town. They get into an accident on this corner. They jump out of their car. 2 of them apprehended right away. Mm-hmm. The other 2 flee into the woods. There's a manhunt. We have 4 or 5 police agencies, helicopters in the air in our town. It's crazy. It was chaos. They couldn't find one guy. They busted one guy. They found a 3rd guy.
They're not even Yorktown residents.
They're not.
From out of town.
Right.
You know, and
From
so
New York City, and they all had records.
Yeah, but what we're trying to do is just, I don't mean to cut you off, Serge, but what we're trying to do is just give the police and the judges tools for their toolbox.
So here's what happens, right? So they lead this whole goose chase. The cops couldn't, and the court system, sorry, not the police, the court system couldn't hold them. All but for one reason. In that car accident, 1 kid got hurt. That was a passenger in an innocent bystander's car. Mm-hmm. If that child didn't get hurt, and it didn't matter if it was a child, it was the injury, That's what that's what gave our courts the ability to hold these people. It wasn't because they stole narcotics. It wasn't because they ran into the pharmacy and they were robbing them point blank. It wasn't the wild goose chase. It wasn't the tens of thousands of dollars that we had to spend with the helicopters in the air. It was none of that. You cannot hold them for that. That's where our laws are right now. And honestly, I think it's ridiculous. This is very important.
It is, and we've been talking in the village because any place where you're right off a highway, that's what's happening right now. The high speed chases. We had a pharmacy robbed on the other side of town. They got picked up by a plate reader exiting the parkway. They robbed the store, and they were picked up again in the Bronx 25 minutes later. You have to drive awfully fast from Yorktown to get to the Bronx 25 minutes later. And the reason that they do this is because the police cannot engage in a high-speed chase out of safety reasons. And then when they do catch someone, you find out the driver is a minor. The lookouts are minors as well, because those are the ones who normally get caught. So it's bad, and the chief and I both spoke at Jefferson Village about making sure you lock your cars, don't leave valuables in it. And one thing I brought up at the last veterans meeting was, don't leave your garage door openers in there either, especially if you have two cars and go out in one. Having your garage door opener with a car in your driveway is just an invitation for someone to break into your house now. And it's sad that that's the state of affairs that we're in today, but we are. And a lot of these gangs are being tracked through multiple agencies. They are, for the most part, Central and South American gangs, and they are coming up from Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, and there's a task force being put together. Patrols are up. We're trying our best, but the percentage or the timeline on robberies in the town is we're about halfway where we were last year already, and we're 4 months into the year. We're really 3 months.
And I just want to mention that. I mean, I hope that they find their way, but it's a team. So what happens is there might be a woman or a couple or a child scoping out whose houses are vacant and not. And then they go ahead and they notify it, because what I'm finding is when they're collectively finding who snitches on someone else, there's a whole there's like mom and child that you would never even think that are walking in your neighborhood. So just be a good neighbor. If you see your neighbor who never leaves their gate open because they have a puppy, maybe just be a little bit more conscious. If someone's garage door is wide open and that leads to the back of their house, just be a little bit more conscious. I just think it's just that neighborhood friendliness, I think, for me is the way, because I feel like the more vigilant we are, the less of a threat we can be.
Something the chief put out. Something the chief put out was, this is a time that we need to have each other's backs, and you need to watch your neighbors, your elderly neighbors, especially our victims. They're victims of everything. Phone scams. We were talking to one of the banks today in a meeting that I had, and they are training their tellers now. If you see a regular come in and looking for a lot of money, ask the questions, talk to them, because it's sad.
Wild.
It's sad how they prey on the elderly, especially as they're confused. I had my mother-in-law wrote a check to someone, and she had her credit card number stolen from someone on the phone because she gets confused, and it's out there. So please be careful. Please watch out for your neighbors, for yourselves, and really keep vigilant so we could stay safe. And our police force does a great job. Safest town in America. Thanks to the support they've gotten from the town boards and from our town as a whole.
What does Chief say? Help us help you, or whatever it is.
Yes, help us help you.
But going back to the resolution, just for a minute, I mean, there has to be some middle ground from where we were to where we are now, and kind of just to bring it into some common sense. I understand years ago people were had issues, but this is kind of like a complete swing, and we just got to find the middle on this.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
The pendulum doesn't stay too far in the middle, or too long in the middle, I should say. All right, so from the Finance Department, authorize the following banks be designated as additional depositories: J.P. Morgan Wealth Management and New York Class. From the Highway Department, authorize the following changes of fees for the Highway Department and authorize a master fee schedule to be changed to reflect these changes. And those are enumerated in the paper here. From the Human Resource Department, we did already. Yep. From Parks and Recreation Department, I know I saw Jim say that. Oh, there he is. Authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer for Parks and Recreation Department for the Shrub Oak Park Stream Repair Project. This is something we've been waiting for quite a while, Jim, and it was due to trout spawning season, if I'm not mistaken. We had to wait until that's over. The official end date is May 1st. We are all set to have the equipment ready to go on the 30th of April. Well, you can't talk from back there. Come on up.
Yes, we're all set for May 1st. However, we are going to check the 10-day forecast prior. We don't want to waste days of the rental if there's going to be heavy flow of the stream. So we're mindful of that going into the rental. So, yes, May 1st, pending weather.
All right, please report to me 10 days out.
Yep.
Let's make sure. I would like this project to get started on time and be ready to go. And then your pool project that we spoke about as well needs to be ready to go September 6th or whatever that first day.
Dan and I are having a walkthrough on the Monday prior to May 1st as well on site.
Very good. Yep. All right, Jimmy. Thank you. Authorize the town to advertise a request for proposals for food concessions at the town pools and Granite Knolls Recreation and Sports Complex.
Sure.
So now, in addition to the pool, we're going to talk to some people, hopefully. They'll put in some proposals
That's awesome.
for Granite Knolls, yep, and have some concessions there on a regular basis.
That'd be nice.
Yep, absolutely.
I can stop bringing my coolers. I feel like I'm going to Jones Beach every time I go to a sporting event.
There you go. From the Planning Department, accept the landscape bond for Burger King located...
Don't worry, Dan. We'll throw out the garbage. I promise. Okay, sorry.
Accept the landscape bond for the Burger King located at 385 Downing Drive, Section 17.18, Block 2, Lot 57. And that's a landscaping bond of $1,500. From the police department, authorize one police officer to attend a conference involving 3 overnight stays, October 19th through the 21st, to attend a police conference out of state. Extend the bid for dry cleaning services with Right Price Cleaners, Inc. For an additional year. From the Water Department, authorize the Deputy Supervisor to sign agreement with Weston and Sampson P.E. L.S. L.A. Architects P.C. for the engineering services, waterline cleaning, and structural relining for Route 35 and Greenwood Street. And this is to strengthen that line under the road so we do not have another major break, which is very expensive. Yorktown Water District believes that it's the best interest of the town to move forward with Weston and Sampson due to their familiarity with working with the Water District and the fact that they have been hired by the Water District to perform the grant writing services specifically for this structural relining project. Be it further resolved, the Comptroller is authorized to process the following budget transfer from special projects into professional services. Authorize the release of $64,633.30 in retainage owed to Michael's Trenchless, Inc. for the completion of the cleaning and cement relining project on Strawberry Road and Hanover Street. And then authorize the release of another $43,554.41 in retainage owed to McKell's Trenchless, Inc. for the completion of the cleaning and cement relining project on Underhill Avenue and Front Street. Authorize the controller to pay Adele Hobby the cash value of unused time as of her date of retirement. That's as enumerated, and thank you for all your years of service, Adele. I know she was one of your valuable employees in our museum.
Right.
Under retirement.
We were very happy to have her with us. Then we're going to authorize the controller to pay Zoe Cosma the cash value of unused time as of her date of separation, and that's enumerated below. Authorize the use of Yorktown Community and Cultural Center gym to hold a job fair and waive the rental fee in the amount of $156. That is a job fair that will be held with Westchester Putnam Career Center. It is on May 1st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Special rights of first refusal will be given to members of the Yorktown Chamber of Commerce. So they will try to work at that. We're also going to look to hopefully have some of the trades in with some of their apprenticeship programs, and possibly BOCES has been involved in quite a bit of training as well.
Yes.
So we're looking to have some great jobs coming to town for our citizens. And then one I'm going to read in. Resolved, the building inspector is authorized to issue a temporary certificate of occupancy for the Burger King at 385 Downing Drive, Section 1718, Block 2, Lot 57, for a period of 180 days. And they are expecting to do their full opening 7 a.m. Thursday morning with a little ribbon cutting, I think, tomorrow.
Tomorrow about 3:15.
Yep.
So everybody's invited.
So can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then finally, motion to, well, actually, before a motion to adjourn, let's remind everyone, special election this coming Tuesday, the 16th, and I think that Diana has all of the information up on board for the early voting at the Cappellini Center or the JOC, and you could get that right on her website, and you click through to the town clerk part on that. YorktownNY.org, and then click on Town Clerk. All right, so now can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good night, Yorktown.
Good night, Yorktown. And good luck on the